Common question I hear asked on the internet is, I just got a bass guitar. I'm new at playing. How do I make my bass sound more goth? Well, I'm going to show you how. This is a 4-string bass guitar. They also come in 5 and 6 string varieties. The important thing is your strings. If you buy your instrument from some dude who's stored in his basement for 5 years, guarantee you these strings are going to sound dull and muddy and flat and lifeless. Get yourself some fresh strings and keep your strings changed regularly. The reason why is that fresh strings are going to have a nice, bright, chimey sound, which is critical for getting good goth tone. The next thing is playing the bass instrument. The old school way is using fingers. You've probably seen rock bands and soul and country. They all play like... They play with their fingers like that. This is a plectrum, aka pick. And you learn to hold the pick with your fingers like so, and you pluck the strings. I strongly recommend that you learn to play with a pick, especially for post-punk and goth and death rock music. The reason why is that your pick is a hard piece of plastic with a very sharp tip on it. It's going to give you a brighter attack on your strings than using your soft, flubby, soft, fleshy finger, which is going to deaden the sound ever so slightly. That leads us into probably the most important part of all of this, which is your pedals. And pretty much every goth song that you ever have learned to love over time, the important pedal in the mix is going to be chorus. This is your dry tone. This is chorus. So the chorus pedal is really the only pedal that you really need to have for getting really good goth and post-punk tone. There are other pedals that you can look at adding, such as reverb, delay, flange, even phaser, and overdrive. But the chorus pedal is really the only one that you need to look at. I'm going to show you quickly what I use for my my rig here. This is a Boss CEB3. This is a bass chorus pedal. They also make guitar chorus pedals, and to answer your question, yes, you can play your bass instrument through a guitar pedal. I prefer bass versions of these pedals because they tend to handle the low end a little bit better. This particular pedal is a very affordable entry-level bass chorus pedal. You can get them anywhere from $50, $60, $70 on Reverb for a used one, maybe a little over $100 for a new one. It's a really good do-it-all chorus pedal. There are dozens and dozens of different companies and brands that make them. This is an MXR Bass Chorus Deluxe. Another one I have here is a Tech 21 Bass Boost Chorus pedal. It's a little bit of a boutique one. They all three make chorus tone, and each one has a little bit different sound from the other for my band. And I mentioned there's the delay pedal. I use a phaser very sparingly because that can get old kind of fast. And the other pedal here is your overdrive pedal. So a bit of a hot take here with overdrive. We definitely have heard overdrive in goth music off and on through the years. The Cure use it. London After Midnight, Sisters of Mercy, I use it in my band, but I do so sparingly. I liken distortion to a spice that it's really tasty, but I don't necessarily want that spice in every single dish on my plate and dessert too. I like to have a little dynamic in my music. So chorus and overdrive together sound really aggressive and really awesome, but it's maybe good to have some different approaches to your songwriting and using things that don't have distortion too. After your chorus pedals, the next thing really in your line of sound there is your amplifier, and that's really easy. You don't need any particular special amplifier to get good goth tone. Anything you have it's like set up for a bass guitar is going to be fine. Whether that's a little 12-inch practice amp, a 15-inch practice amp, it's okay. You don't need to go out and buy, you know, an 810 cabinet with, you know, Ampeg, you know, $2,000, you know, amplifier head. That's not needed. The most important bit in all this is what I mentioned before, is bright strings, playing with a pick, and a chorus pedal. If you get those three, like, honestly, you can even go to a club and you don't need to bring an amplifier. They can literally plug you right into a direct box, and you don't need to play with an amplifier. Everything will be taken care of for you in the monitors. That's really it for getting a good goth and post-punk and death rock tone. If you have any questions, drop me a comment and I'll be glad to help you out. Take care.